Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, this is very interesting. Thank you very much for joining this virtual conference, Dr. Shaw Wai and Dr. Shaw Yen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe you are very much related. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Yes, sister.
Okay. We are supposed to be joined by the other four, three presenters and one listeners. The other three presenters, until this morning, they confirmed that they will submit their video presentation to us. So they are not joining the virtual conference. And the guy from Maldives, our friend from Maldives, he did not respond at all to my queries. So I don't know what happened, but I've already given the URL to him. I've already emailed to him. We don't seem to be able to communicate with him since yesterday. He has paid actually the conference fee as a listener. So I don't know what happened to him. So if he happen to join the conference later on, we just let him in and we continue with our event. Okay. Okay. Now it's already 2 p.m. So just me and Dr. Shok Wai and Dr. Shok Yen. Thank you very much. I think this is going to be a brief session. Okay. This is also a good experience for me because this is probably the smallest number of participants I ever had in my conference. Okay. The smallest I have last time was, if I remember correctly, is about 4 participants. Okay. So, well, this happens anyway. We are supposed to have our friend, but they are not actually joining. Some of them, maybe they have logistic issue and so on. That's why they can join, and they opted for the video presentation as well. All right, let me let me give you a little background about this conference, and then after that we will continue with the presentation from both of you. Okay. Okay. So first of all, I would like to welcome you to this conference, the third international conference on innovation, social science, supply chain, sustainability, economy, and business engineering and education. Or in short, we call this ISSED. This is the third installment of this conference that we have. The first one that we have is in the year 2020. The second one in 2021 during the pandemic. And this is the third one, okay? We are supposed to have our physical conference in Bayview Hotel. I miss that place. We've been there 3 times, in fact. But since we do not have sufficient number for physical conference, we need to have minimum 7 to be sustainable, at least economically, and also we want to aim for vibrant and productive kind of session. Yeah. So if the number is less, I think we are not able to meet those objectives. So we have to withdraw that physical conference. However, we still have alternative like we have now, virtual conference, and also participant to submit their presentation in the video. So they submitted to us their pre-recorded video, and then the video will be published in our YouTube channel later on. Okay. Then the URL to that YouTube channel will be emailed to them so that they can access the video publication. Okay. All right. So a little on the agenda. Okay. So we're supposed to have registration. Yes, you have already registered into the conference. And then I'm going to have 10 minutes for a short opening. And then we can start. Both of you, any one of you can start first for your presentation. Maybe you take about 10-15 minutes for your presentation, and then we'll have Q&A. And we should be able to finish much earlier than 5 p.m. Maybe, you know, we can finish before 3 o'clock. All right?
Yes, I guess too.
Okay, but before that, this conference is recorded, okay? It's recorded. I will publish the video in the YouTube channel as well. So the URL will also be provided and emailed to you so that you can access the presentation. You can access this conference anytime, okay, later on. Okay, these are the list of the people. So confirm you have, I only have Dr. Pung Siok Wai and Dr. Pung Siok Yan. Okay, Nurul Huda, Dr. Siti Hafizan, and Nur Ashikin from Polytechnic Tun Said Nasir. They are not able to join. They opted for submission of video presentation. Actually, I have not received any video from them yet. Probably they are still preparing now. And Muhammad Sami, who has registered as listener and paid from Maldives, I've not been able to get any confirmation from him yet until this time, okay? So let's proceed anyway. So most importantly is actually what is next after this conference. All right. So then after this conference, we will record and will publish this recording of this conference in the YouTube, and then we will generate the e-certificates in a PDF format. That is your certificate as presenter that I will provide to all participants actually who have registered and paid for either virtual conference, physical conference has converted into virtual conference like yours, and then those who have also submitted their or registered as the video presenter. All right. So this normally will provide you the certificate within a week from today. But I think we do not have big numbers, so probably we will be able to provide you maybe a couple of days after today, okay? All right, and then like I said, the presentation video will be published in the YouTube channel, and then we will provide you the URL as well. Next, we'll move into the publication of your, we have probably accepted all the papers that you submitted to us. So those papers accepted will be published in the conference proceeding book. With ISBN number within normally within a month. That's our commitment, but I believe we still have one or two participants, or probably three, that have not submitted their full paper yet. Okay, that is normal. Some of them actually they submitted the abstract, but they take their time actually to submit the full paper as well. So maybe after 1 or 2 days after today, I should be able to receive all of them. Okay. So the sooner I receive all the full papers from the participant, the sooner actually we can publish the conference proceeding book. We have already received the ISBN number from the National Library, so that shouldn't be a problem basically for us to publish the proceeding book within this week or within next week for that matter, if we receive all the papers from the participant. Okay, but normally it should be not more than 2 weeks from today normally. Okay, and then subsequent to the publication of the proceeding book, we will also publish in the journal. All the accepted papers will be submitted into our reference journal. Okay, you see the list in the website. Those are the journal that we have currently, covering mostly most of the common research area. Okay, like social science, business management, and so on. Yeah. Okay, this is how it's going to look like. Your certificate is going to look like this. Yeah. This is in the PDF format that we're going to send to you, and then this is the outlook like of the publication of the presentation, video presentation in our YouTube channel. Okay, so this is the title or the first page of the presentation. Is a description about the paper, which we actually extract from the abstract of the papers. And then the next one we're going to have is basically the publication of conference proceeding book. A little bit more detail about this is basically all accepted papers will be published in conference proceeding book as part of your the fee that you pay to us. Okay, so you may some authors or some participants may be making some amendments, okay, and complying to the publication standard. Okay, some of participants actually follow it took the template from the website for full paper and also abstract. Some participants, especially from from foreign participants, they just submit their paper in any format they just send us. Okay, so sometimes actually when it is too much of the changes, basically we email back to them our template, and then we requested them actually to submit their paper according to the template requirement. But more often than not, actually, our team took the liberty to okay, we make the formatting ourselves, and then we also give provide a first level grammatical check, and then formatting as well to them. Okay, so this probably also save time from our side. Okay, and this conference proceeding book will be emailed to you in PDF format within 2 weeks, like I said earlier, and it is not online. Okay, we know some organizers of conference and also publishers actually they have their conference proceeding book online actually, but we choose not to online because your same paper actually will be published in our reference journal. Our reference journals are all online, so we want to avoid very high similarity index. You know, chances 100% if we have our conference proceeding book in online, and then our journal is also online. So we want to avoid that to happen. All right. So we just have this in PDF format, and then the journal in the online format. Right. Okay. So the publication of the proceeding book looks like this. Okay, this is the front page, the cover page. Okay, and then this is the copyright page, and then we have a preface, abstract page. Somebody joining. Okay, no, nothing. And then we have abstract page and also the table of content for the proceeding book. In our case, for this particular conference, ISSED22, I think we have around 12 papers, if not up to today, that we have already received from our conference. So a total about 12 or 13, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So this is going to look like this, the first few pages. And then after the table of content here, then we're going to have all of your papers in our standard format. And then the publication in the reference journal, right? So this journal that we have 7 right now, is indexed by the Malaysia Citations and Informatics Center, okay, under the Ministry of Higher Education. Cover various disciplines like I mentioned just now, and then these journals are all online. Okay. Normally we will provide you the information. We'll email you the information about the publication in the journal after we have completed the publication of the proceeding book. Yeah, so that we will normally allow the authors to make amendment, changes, update, and whatnot, you know, during this time before we actually publish the paper in the journal. That is quite neat. I think quite a number of participants really requested for amendment or change of the papers. So normally the papers actually already formatted into our journal publication standard. So we will provide you the paper that we have already formatted in general publication standard, and then we email back to you. You make the changes in that format, and then you submit it back to us. So it is normally the procedure. Yeah. And then for this particular conference, this conference is on the 14th of May. I probably mentioned in the website, also in the conference update that we have emailed you earlier. Our publication is 4 times a year. All of our journal publish 4 issues a year. Okay, that is March, June, September, and December. So the next publication cycle is in June 2022. So now is the middle of May. So I think if you want to make changes, there's plenty of time actually for you to be able to make changes if you need to. All right. There are some changes to the title. There are changes also to the number of or the list of the authors. They want to make changes also to the result of their data finding and so on. So that will be the time will be provided for you with probably around 1 week to make the correction if you need to make the correction. Otherwise, we will take the version that you have submitted or you have already uploaded to our system for publication in our journal. Yeah. These are the list of the journal. You see this in our conference website. So your paper may fall into any one of these particular journal, okay? So we'll inform you later which journal actually will be that your paper will be published in. Okay, we also provide to a certain degree publication in high index journal. In this case, specifically for Scopus Index journal. Normally, when we receive papers, we receive many papers, we will review and then we'll go through the process of acceptance or decline. Okay. So far, in our experience, we have not declined any paper from Malaysian participant, but we have declined few papers submitted from foreign participation because of, you know, they don't comply to the publication standard and simple. Basically, the objective does not tie with the conclusion and the data finding and so on. And then badly written, very bad English and so on. So we have to decline. Okay, but so far none from Malaysia actually. Actually, Malaysians are very compliant actually to the publication standard actually compared to other, you know, other participants from our neighboring countries and so on. Okay, so after we review, we provide you the acceptance to the system, and then our, you know, our editorial board also earmark, you know, few papers that we think can be queued for publication in the high index journal. Okay, so depending also, because we do not have relationship with all the publishers and also the editors of all Scopus Index journal, only few of them and selected few actually. So we do not normally have for all kind of journal covering all kind of research areas and so on. Okay, so as of today, this is what we have right now, that we can help you. We have participants to publish if any of their paper actually fall into any of this research area. Okay, if you have paper in the education, maybe we can help you publish this if you have any need for publication in this high index journal. So one is the JELERI, JLERI. This is Q2 Scopus. The other one is Journal of Early Childhood Special Education. This is Web of Science. Okay. So in summary, for publication, we are having conference proceeding publication. Our commitment is within 1 month from the conference deadline from today. Reference journal publication, within 3 months. Well, the next one for paper submitted in this conference will be in June. So we should be able to publish that in June 2022. And then for Scopus Index Journal, we will email the participant if your paper is selected, okay? Because if you, we still have to get the agreement from the participant or the authors, whether they want to publish or not. Okay, some participants do not wish to publish in high index. Some participants say that their paper they want to publish in their own selected high index journal and so on. So we'll inform them. If they agree, only then we start actually the publication process. For publication in the high index journal, there is a separate fee, additional fee that they have to pay depending on the journal that we are publishing the paper in. All right. So the fee that we pay in the conference does not cover the publication for high index journal. Okay, and a short note here is basically all manuscript must be in Microsoft Word. From our experience, there are few participants submitted to us PDF format, so we have to email them back and then asking them actually to resubmit in Microsoft Word. Because the reason is because we need to edit, or we need to format so-called when we are publishing the papers in the proceeding book and also in the journal. Okay, we will need to change the page number definitely, because all the papers are in the conference proceeding book. For example, the papers are in the alphabetical order. All right. So if you don't give us the Microsoft Word format, we are not able actually to incorporate your paper in the proceeding book. And then all communication for this conference by email, and the email is very important. Few participants from our experience did not provide a valid email. Some have the email, but they have limitation basically in terms of size of file that we send over. For instance, they have maximum can receive about 3 megabyte size of file maximum. So we are not able to send for example, the certificate, or we are not able also to send the proceeding book. The proceeding book normally is quite big, depending on the size, on the number of the paper that we have. Okay, so normally if they have a problem, then we will request actually another email address. Okay, and this is the list of the conferences that we are queuing up for the next few months until September. Okay, so if you have any need, if your colleague also have any need, your students, for instance, have any need to attend to present the papers, to publish the papers in the journal, so you're welcome actually to just send us an email, ISSED@acrnetwork.org. We will respond to your request. Okay, so maybe some of your colleague or your student also have a need basically to publish papers in the journal and also presenting their papers, part of the requirement for advanced student. You can always refer back to this list of the conference. Okay? If you have any need, then I will provide you the link, the URL link to the conference website. These are all already published in the internet. Okay, so that's about all from me. I'm sorry, I probably take more than 10 minutes for this. So do you have any questions? No question. Okay,
No
all right,
questions.
then we can start immediately. So who want to start first?
Maybe I first, because according to the list, I'm the first presenter.
Okay. okay, you can start first. Dr. Shawai, you can start first. All right, so let me unshare my I stopped sharing mine. Yeah. Okay, now we can see each other. All right, and then can you open your presentation, Dr. Shawai, and then you share that presentation?
problem is the host disabled participant share screen.
Okay. I will check this one. Can you try again?
Yes.
Okay, let me see. I have not seen your. Okay.
Okay. Is that
Good.
can you see my slide?
Yes, I can in the PPT format. Yeah.
Yes. Can I start?
Yes, you can, of course.
Okay, thank
Can
you.
you make it become full screen?
Yeah, put
no
in the
worries for
presenter
that.
side. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This is
I
better.
think maybe just a quick one, because this is my paper. The impact of the oil return and S&P 500 return over the period 2000 to 2022, a Markov approach. And then I'm Dr. Poon Seok Wai from Department of Management, Faculty of Business and Economics, University Malaya. Okay, actually the reason why I choose this time period is because I want to examine, or I want to investigate the COVID-19 pandemic effect on the stock price and the oil price. Okay, so I start with the introduction. At the end of December 2019, Wuhan city in Hubei province, China, has outbroken unexplained viral phenomena, which is COVID-19 pandemic. And at the end of January 2020, the WHO declared a public health emergency of international concern over the spread of COVID-19, which is the highest level of alarm under the international law. The outbreak and spread of the global new crown phenomenon epidemic have brought heavy damage to the global capital market, and COVID-19 is regarded as a black swan event that has huge impact on the world. The magnitude of asset price volatility brought by the epidemic is comparable to the great crisis of 2008 international financial crisis.
Okay.
In the context of global economic integration, the interconnectedness of various economies will be strengthened, and the very developed and developing countries deal with the pandemic events will have a huge impact on the world economy. The epidemic has accelerated the division of the global economy in order to resist the impact of the economic recession, and the countries have restricted the international trade to protect their own interests, which may lead to the global promise of the trade protectionism. And this is some selected countries on the performance of their stock market during this COVID-19 pandemic. And then from the figure, we know that on March 9, 12, 16, and 18, 2020, actually US stock experienced a circuit breakers 4 times in a row, just in the same month. And the Dow Jones Industrial average fell more than 10,000 points, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq fell 33% and 28% respectively. There are many studies examining the relationship between the stock price and the oil price. According to Li, Yang, and Huang in 2012, by applying the industry stock price and the oil price of G7 countries from 1991 to 2009, found that there's a relationship between the industry stock price changes and the oil price changes. The stock price changes of major consumer goods and the material industry are the most affected by the oil price changes, followed by the transportation, finance, energy, and medical care. While Narayan and Grupas in 2015 also concluded that the changes in oil price affected the US stock returns. Poon in 2020 analyzed the impact of the changes in the oil price and GDP and found that the structural change as well as rate affect the relationship of the oil price and GDP. This study is further analyzed the correlation between the WTI crude oil price and the Malaysia's GDP. The results show that there's a positive correlation between the oil price and the GDP. Followed by the Eaton and Ocampo in 2021, revealed that after the outbreak of the global new crown epidemic, the control of people's travel has led to a cliff-like decline in energy demand, and a historic drop in the world energy price. According to Sharif, Aloy, and Yarovanya in 2020, a volatile drop in the oil price is temporary risk that can be contained through the OPEC Plus deal. But restriction on the people's travel will allow the COVID-19 to further impact on the oil price. Brittany, Guler, and Yukon in 2020 also reported that the COVID-19 epidemic has caused a recession in all economies around the world. Countries have introduced policy to prevent people from traveling. The one-by-one factories has been forced to close, which caused a rising unemployment rate, decline on the consumption power, and the global value chain has been disrupted. The decline in the production will be indirectly influence the market demand for oil. Therefore, actually, we can see that the oil price actually is going down or drop in early 2020 and 2021. But recently, the oil price is going up again because the countries now not apply the MCO or the movement control order, or the country is no longer locked down. Therefore, this paper used a macro switching regression model to measure the impact of the changes of the WTI oil price on S&P return. And then we'll forecast the changes of the price in order to provide a reference for the policymaker and at the same time prepare for possible changes in the energy price and ensure the national energy security. The data set used in this paper is the monthly closing price of S&P 500 over the period January 2020 through January 2022. And furthermore, the WTI oil price actually is in USD per barrel SI unit, is also included in this study to investigate the impact of the oil price on the stock price. Thereafter, forecasting the changes of the S&P 500. The data is first taken from Yahoo Finance and the currency is the US dollar. The data set is then taking the return by using the formula return equal to 100 multiplied ln. P is the price, PT is the current price of the current price, and then divide with the price for the time minus 1. Okay. The data is then analyzed by using two regimes switching regression analysis incorporates with the Markov property in order to investigate the volatility changes in each regime with unobservable state variables. The Markov switching regression model is used to measure the time series that transition over a set of finite states by following a Markov process. Actually, this Markov process is a stochastic model, which is the current price. We can predict the price, the future price, which is t plus 1, depend on the current price, which is t, which is referring to the t minus 1. And the equation for the model is the S&P 500T equal to the mean K for the WTI-T plus the error. Where if there's a region 1, then we will have the mu1. If there's a region 2, then there's mu2. And the transition probability can be calculated with and summarized in the transition matrix, which is PR is the probability, where the probability for 1-1 meaning that state 1 and then they didn't change, so 1-1. So PR 1-2 meaning that the transition probability from region 1 go to the region 2, and then 2-1 is from region 2 and then go back to region 1, where the region 2 and region 1 actually is the appreciation and the depreciation state. Okay, and then after that, we'll use a static forecasting to predict the changes of the S&P 500 return by using the actual value of the lagged S&P 500 returns. The static forecasting is choosing since it requires the real data for the variable. The root mean square error is also calculated in this paper to understand the standard deviation of the residuals or the predict errors. And this standard deviation is very, very important in econometric to explain the concentration of the data around the best fit line. And this is the result, where we have two regimes, regime 1 and regime 2, and we have the coefficient for the oil price when the dependent variable is the S&P 500. C is the intercept. And then the value inside the bracket is the probability value or the p-value. From the coefficient value in table 1, the coefficient for WTI returns in region 1 is negative 0.0028, with the p-value is 0.91, which indicates that it's a depreciation state. And the relationship between the WTI and the S&P 500 returns is not significant because the p-value is greater than 0.05 level of significance. While the coefficient for WTI in region 2 is 0.178, with the p-value is equal to 0.0002, which is less than 0.05 significance level or 5% significance level, indicating that the region 2 is at appreciation state. And the WTI returns has a significant impact on the changes of the S&P 500 because the p-value is less than 0.05 or 5% significance. Besides that, the transition probability for P11 is equal to 0.89, P12 0.11, P21 0.64, and P22 0.36. Showing that the changes of the price from depreciation state to the growth or the appreciation state takes longer time compared to the transition from the growth state to the depreciation state. Meaning that if let's say the price is going down, it's very fast, but if it takes longer for recover. Then after that, we are using the static forecasting method to predict the changes of the S&P 500. And then the result is showing here where we predict for the it's a short-term prediction. And then the forecasting series for S&P 500 is presented in figure 2. The time period choosing is from January 2020 until January 2022. And the reason for choosing this period or this duration rather than entire sample size is to investigate the changes in the stock returns during the COVID-19 epidemic, because we expect the same things will happen in the near future because of this COVID-19 pandemic won't be lost that fast. Okay, and based on the findings, the actual changes of the stock returns are differing greatly from the predicted time series. This indicates that the COVID-19 epidemic caused a whipsaw movement in the stock return at the beginning of the COVID-19. And this result actually is supported or is similar with Ritchie, Buller, and Yukon, and Hong and Lee in 2021, that the COVID-19 affect the stock market performance, such as the price volatility and the return predictability. A lower root mean square error indicates that the observed estimate data are close to each other, which means that better accuracy. And the root mean square error that presented in figure 2 is 5.58, while the mean absolute error is 4.4. The difference between these two, the root mean square error and the mean absolute error, is slightly larger because the root mean square is slightly larger than the mean absolute error, indicating that the variance in the individual data point is small. In conclusion, this paper investigates the association between the oil return and the stock return before and during the COVID-19 epidemic by using Markov switching regression model. Unlike other studies, we focus on the forecast of the stock market performance during the COVID-19 epidemic, which is from 2020 until 2022, the latest one. The reason why we choose 2020, although the COVID-19 started in 2019, is because 2019 is only in China. But then starting from 2020 February, actually is go to the global. Okay. The result shows that the WTI oil return affect the US stock return, especially when the stock return is growing. Furthermore, we also find that there is a visual movement at the beginning of the COVID-19 epidemic in the return predictability. The implication of this study is beneficial to the individual and institutional investor to understand the relationship between the oil price and the stock market, the price volatility, and return predictability. which is conducive to the operation of funds and improve the personal income. And this project or this research actually is funded under the FRGS grant provided by the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, and this is the reference. Okay. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Dr.
And any questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Shok Wai. Short, precise, and sweet. Okay. Dr. Shok Wen, do you have any questions to your to your sister? I'm sorry.
I think I didn't have any question to her because I know her research well. That's why I didn't have any question.
You are the co-author, right?
Yes.
Are you the co-author of this paper as well?
Yeah, I'm the co-author. That's
Okay.
why I know.
Thanks, so I'm her co-author.
Okay, no problem with that. I have a few questions basically. Okay, you're taking S&P 500. That is good because that is the most the most reliable actually source of information actually for the listed companies actually, and the most high performance company in S&P 500. Any reason why you choose WTI index as your the oil measurement pricing over the period under study actually? You're not using Brent crude, or you're not using the other like Dubai or something? I remember, yeah.
Yeah, because actually for the world oil price, we have three standard price, which is Dubai, and then Brent, and the WTI.
Yeah.
But then the WTI is the most common one, especially for the ASEAN country and the US. For Dubai, normally Dubai Light is for the Dubai and then those Middle East country. That's why I'm just using a more general and then the one that common, so that the people can understand it well. And if let's say they want to apply, or they want to do a further future research by using other country, which is more helpful for them, because they can just focus, or they can just compare with my result, and then they can use to support their findings, or maybe some idea for them to start their research. That's why I choose the most common one.
Okay. Maybe you need in your paper, probably you just read one probably paragraph that using WTI is more acceptable for your research compared to the other indicators or the other scale. Okay, so maybe people might be asking why you choose one over the others. Okay, right?
Thank you, because that is inside my paper, but I just take out because I want to make a sweet and short presentation.
No problem. If you have already put, that is okay, because that is normal for us. When we do research, we have to explain why we do this and why we don't do that, you know. Okay, similarly, you choose Markov regression over the other method actually, right? So I believe there are other methods of doing regression analysis of your data other than Markov. And do you have any specific reason why you use that?
Okay, because the normal method, like for example, VAR, VCM, which is the very common econometric method that used by the people, including the Granger causality and so on. The reason why I choose the Markov switching method is because the Markov switching method, we have different regime. We can have 2 regimes, 3 regimes, or 4 regimes. And then the regime stand for actually is like, for example, I have 2 regimes, which is the appreciation. Another one is the depreciation. So meaning that I want to know when the economy is growth, what happened? When there's depreciation, what happens? Rather than I just lump sum everything in one model and then do a general or a general comment on that. So which means that the reason why I choose Markov switching, because I want to go to more specific. Okay. When growth, what happened? When depreciation, what happens?
Okay, your study is very specific during the time of the corona pandemic, right? From year 2020, January, I think, to January 22, which is quite recent. This is during the pandemic. So the assumption is even not during the normal time, even during the normal time, non-pandemic, is the assumption correct that we're saying that the oil price has a implication to the stock exchange price or the performance of the stock under normal time? I think there is a relationship, right?
Yes,
So
thank you,
in your
Dr.
study,
Safi.
actually, you want to prove that the relationship is also there during the pandemic, or even it is worse as far as the
Yes.
relationship is concerned. Okay, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, because actually, this is my paper, which is published in one WOS journal,
Yeah.
which is exclude the pandemic before the pandemic because it's 2020 paper. So that's why now this paper, today my presentation, I want to focus just pandemic because before pandemic I already investigate. Now I'm interested to know whether the previous study, the previous research that I'm doing, is that still applicable for the current situation, because the reason why I want to focus on the current situation is I believe that COVID-19 won't last in the near future. It might take longer time to be to back to the normal situation. So that's why I want to know what happened during the epidemic time. So this one maybe we can just use for these few years until we back to the normal. Back to a normal life, the previous situation or the condition.
Okay. Okay, good. I don't have any further questions, so I think we can move on to the next one, Dr. Xiu Yan.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Safia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks again to our conference chairman, Dr. Safia. Okay, so now I would like to share my slide. Okay. Is that you are able to see my slide right now?
Yes, very good, very good. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to start out my presentation. So for this study, the title of my study is a clustering analysis using the finite mixture model. So I'm Dr. Fung Siu Ying from the Department of the Mathematics from University Pendidikan Sultan Idris. And this research will be more focused on identifying which method, which is two method, Bayesian analysis, and also the maximum likelihood estimation, two statistical method used to fit with the finite mixture model. This model is a quite popular model right now, where we can use to estimate whether the time series data that we're going to analysis, we can doing the modeling analysis, we can check the mixture distribution from it, and also we can make prediction by using this model. That's why this model is quite popular right now. So for my introduction of this study is, the finite mixture model actually is a model-based clustering. We can use to model a mixture of unknown distribution. First, there will come out the unknown distribution. We don't need to identify it first. We just key in or insert our data into our finite mixture model. And then we can use this model, which is, since it is an unsupervised learning model, so it will come out, we will analysis it to identify which distribution is belong to. So the clustering of the mixture model is actually based on four important criteria, where the first one is the number of component in the mixture model, the clustering kernel, for example, like the Gaussian mixture model, Dirichlet distribution, or else. And the third one criteria is the estimation method, and lastly, the dimensionality. Well, this finite mixture model is a mixture model with finite dimensional. It's a mixture of k component and has n random variable, and each component belong to the same parameter family distribution, but with different parameters. The finite mixture model is flexible in both practical and theoretical point of view, and it has made its first recorded appearance in the statistical paper by the Newcomb in 1886. But when that time is only used to modeling the outlinear data. And right now we are using for forecasting, for other uses. For example, like we can estimate the mixing probability, we can use to modeling the over-dispersed data, fit the zero inflator of harder models, estimate the heavy tail density, modeling the heterogeneity in the cluster analysis, and so on. So this is some of the conclusion of the usefulness of FMM. So, and then now we proceed to the statistical method, which is the maximum likelihood estimation. This is a method that we can use to fit the finite matrix model. Actually, until now, there are only two statistical methods we can use to fit with the finite matrix model. First one is maximum likelihood estimation. Another one is Bayesian estimation. Okay, so for the MLE, the Newton-Raphson algorithm actually is an iteration process of the MLE, where we will go into analysis based on the objective function that we obtain from it. And the application of the Newton-Raphson algorithm, actually we use to find the local maximum and local minimum of the function. And then we can use to balance the speed and stability of the mixture model. And this algorithm will provide the efficient finding if the sample size that we examine is medium or moderately large. This method has no optimum properties for finite sample. However, it will show the properties like the consistency as the sample size increases to infinity. It also shows unbiased properties because it can correctly calculate the parameter of interest for large sample size. It also will show the efficiency characteristic because the parameter estimate have smallest variance in compared to other statistical methods. And the application of the MLE also will provide the finding with asymptotically normal and asymptotically efficient result. This method also provides a consistent approach to parameter estimation problem and enable it to develop for large variety of estimation situations. And this is some summarize of the advantage of using the MLE. First, asymptotically normal and asymptotically efficient. It also can enable large sample size B analysis, and the time consumed is shorter than as compared to the method of moment. This method of moment also another method we can use to calculate the fit with the finite matrix model for the analysis, but method of moment only support small sample size. MLE also vital in statistical analysis because it has the high probability being close to the quantity to be estimated and has lower variance as the sample size increase. While for the disadvantages, our sample size must be greater than the more than 10, because if less than 10, they will come out biased data. And it also sensitive to the choice of the starting value. Well, for another method that we were going to discuss in this paper is Bayesian method. So with the advent of the computer technology, Bayesian method being introduced by the Laplace to find out the parameters only. And then it become, we're going to add on the package and add on the usage of the Bayesian method. And then we're going to fit with the, after we fit with the finite matrix model, we can use in variety of the variety types of the it have variety type of the usage, and it also can apply in different fields like the statistics, medical, economy, and so on. So this method used to evaluate the parameter of the model, and we also can use to use for prediction. There are three important concepts for the Bayesian method, which the first one is the prior distribution, likelihood function, and lastly, the posterior distribution. Prior distribution is the information of the model parameter before we're going to, before the observed data. While for the likelihood function is the information that involved in the observed data. And lastly, the posterior distribution is the average of the prior distribution and likelihood function. So the Bayesian method will also display the consistency characteristic, which means that the parameter estimate will close to the predictive distribution. And it also will provide the asymptotic properties like asymptotically unbiased, asymptotically normal, and asymptotically efficient, which will provide the remarkable result at the end. It also will enable accurate prediction obtained with the proper prior distribution. And this study, we will focus on two research objectives, where the first one is to formulate the mixing probability using the MLE and Bayesian method. And the second one is identify which method will be the most possible in modeling the time series data. There are some previous study investigate whether MLE will be more better or investigate their advantage. For example, like the Avis and Roger, they find out that MLE is reliable if the sample size is finite. The other previous study also find that MLE is effective way to for the process of understanding and hydrological modeling. They also found that MLE is consistent, asymptotically normal, and so on. There are some findings about this method. And at the same time, we also find out that Bayesian method also is a good method where it can provide more accurate finding than the MLE. Okay, so the methodology or the methodology part in this study is the sample, and for the sample and data part, okay, the data that we're going to use in this study is January 2000 until August of 2019. For the variable that we're going to use is the exchange rate and gold price in the Malaysia. The data we stop at 2019 because after that we are start facing the COVID pandemic. So we're going to collect the data before the pandemic come out or the crisis starting, so that it won't have any outlier exist in our analysis.
Okay, so is it okay for now?
Very good, very good.
Okay, so for the methodology part, okay, I'm going to continue with the methodology. Okay, so for the methodology part, since the nonlinear time series data is non-stationary, which may lead to invalid finding, so the time series first we were going to express into the first log difference before we go for the further analysis. After the differencing process, the non-stationary data will be expressed into the stationary form. And in this paper, we find out that there are a two-component mixture of normal distribution analysis by using the MLE and also the Bayesian method. Okay, so the reason that we're going to use a mixture of two normal distribution is because the FMM will be flexible in choosing the component distribution, and it also will provide the sufficient finding for clustering and classification process.
Okay.
And this is the general formula for the mixture of for the finite mixture normal distribution. The first part will be the first regime of the first component, while for the second part will be the second regime. If we have three components, then we will add one more equation at the behind.
Yeah.
So the total weight for our component actually is equal to 1. This is our properties. So if we have two components, means the first one will be pi, and the second regime or second component will be 1 minus pi, and so on.
Yeah.
And the usefulness of this weight is to identify or show that the weights of the regime that occurs in that data. And this is the formula to estimate the mixture of normal distribution by using the MLE. And normally for MLE, we will be more convenient to use with the logarithm. So this is the equation that we already use for, we will normally use for the likelihood function estimation, where we call log likelihood. Meanwhile, for the Bayesian method, this is the equation that we're going for use for the Bayesian method fit with the finite mixture model.
Okay.
And the result shows that for the MLE, we find out there are a total of 7 effective parameters. And this is the table 1 show the parameter estimate for the normal model situation, where the first, there are two components, component 1 and also component 2 here. They are a standard error for the 6 parameter, which is the component 1 for the intersect situation, and the component 1 and 2 for the goal situation. After that, another 2 will be our variance for the component 1 and also variance for the component 2. Okay. And then for the parameter estimate for the mixing probability, it will be shown in this table. I already separate and calculate. It become the component 1, how many probability of it, and the component 2 will be 1 minus with the pi. So there will be 0.672. So this is the equation that we can obtain from here, which is the probability density function is equal to the y equal to 0.3280 for the first component, okay, plus with the 0.672 F2. F is meaning that the probability density function, where the first component that we can find out is the crisis period, while for the second component is the normal situation. Actually, how we're going to identify that is a normal situation or the crisis period is, we were going to refer to the analysis that we are going to obtain. If we refer to the article, I have mentioned that how we're going to find out the date, the accurate period for each situation, and then we're going to make conclusion based on the component 1, how and why, which is the duration, so that we can make conclusion that is a crisis period. Same go for the component 2, why and the reason that we're going to identify that is a normal situation is because of the duration that categorized under the component 2 is in the normal situation. And for the Bayesian result, it also can find out, it also show that there is a total of 7 parameters, which is the component 1 and component 2 for the intercept and also the goal situation. Okay, goal means the goal variable at here, and then we also have the variance for component 1 and variance for component 2. And lastly, we also have one mixing probability parameter, where the result that we show or we obtain for MLE and Bayesian actually are almost similar. Okay, so from the result of the table 3 show that the probability density function we can obtain is 0.335 F1 plus with 0.665 F2, where the result is almost similar with the result we obtain from the MLE.
Okay.
But for the Bayesian method, we have the Markov chain diagnostic graph. Okay, where I'm going to show at below here. This is the figure for the Markov chain diagnostic graph. This graph we use to diagnose the convergence of the Markov chain. So this Markov chain graph, this one we call Markov chain graph, we have 3 parts altogether. We have the trace plot, which is the upside one. We have the autocorrelation graph, which is the lower left-hand side, and also for the density plot at the lower right-hand side. So trace plot is used to explain that the change is a good mixing or not. Autocorrelation plot is used to measure the value of the autocorrelation, while for the density plot is used to identify the convergence of the parameter. So by referring to this figure, what we can find out or conclude is all the estimated parameters are constantly alternated. And this one explains that there is a good mixing of the parameter. While for the density plot show that there is a smooth unimodal distribution. And the autocorrelation show that there is a quick drop off. So all these 3 criteria or these 3 situations come out, we can make the conclusion that the Markov chain is a successful convergence and that is a good mixing. So after we find out the result for the MLE and also for the Bayesian method, we go for the method comparison, which is we use the analysis for the exchange rate and gold price using these 2 methods. We compare and find out that which one will be more better to analyze the time series data. We're going to use the AIC and BIC to measure it. So by referring to this result, this table 4 is the result for AIC and BIC. Okay, so that the value for the AIC for both the MLE and BSC method are negative 106.3 and negative 49.5913. While for the BIC value for these two methods is negative 82.0532 for MLE and negative 25.3445 for BSC method. And we can conclude that MLE show the lowest value as compared to the BSC. So we can make the conclusion is, although both MLE and BSC method provide approximately similar result, but MLE will be more possible in examining the nonlinear financial data set. So the conclusion we can make here is the MLE and BSC method, we are used to formulate the mixture distribution based on the precise and normal situation for the exchange rate and gold price in Malaysia. And the results show that there is a two-component mixture model fit with the statistical method, and the mixture distribution we obtain is approximately similar. So a further analysis, we're going to identify which one will be better by using the by using the AIC and BIC, and the final result we can find out is MLE is superior as compared to the BSC method. So this is the acknowledgement for this study, which is carried out under the FRGS provided by the Ministry of the Education of Malaysia. Okay, there are some reference for my paper. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shuwai. Thank you very much. Okay, this is very statistical and mathematical paper research, but interesting actually. Maybe to me it's quite technical, but to you I think it's just business as usual, right? that is your forte. That is your research area anyway. So honestly, I have no question actually to ask you about the about your presentation. But maybe some to add is basically, if you can, especially during the introduction part and also the conclusion part, you can write in more quote unquote man on the street kind of language actually, just not too technical, just to make it easily understood to readers, because when you publish this paper is going to be read by many other researchers. Okay, hopefully, okay, they cite your paper and so on, and they can use it for many other subsequent research by our student and also our fellow researchers. Okay, so if you can add actually. Technical is technical. For those who understand, yeah, not a problem at all. But maybe for non-technical people, there are many also around that may need to research, to do their research and refer to your research paper as well. Maybe some explanation in a simple word and easy to understand is probably welcome, to put in your research paper. Other than that, everything is fine. I think for those who are involved in statistical and mathematical research area, the numbers that you provide, the formula, the technical term, the jargons and everything is normal. It's business as usual. It's not a problem for them to understand. Okay, so that's my feedback is if you can, if you cannot, then probably just leave it as it is. No problem at all.
Okay, sure. Okay, thanks.
So this is good. We are finishing at at 3:15 or 3:16 now. So that's great. So we finished this early. So basically we have is there any other question that you like to, or anything that you like to share, you and Dr. Shaw Yen as well?
I think nothing. I think nothing from me. Thanks again, Doctor.
Thank you. Okay. Just actually, I've been trying to conduct a physical conference since April, earlier this month when the government announced the opening of our borders. Okay, because pre-COVID-19, normally our physical conference attracts quite a number of participants from local as well as international, from Indonesia, from Vietnam, from Thailand, you know. So the mixture of the participant and the discussion normally is vibrant. I like actually that atmosphere, and I miss that very much. For the past 2 years, I have not been able to do that, especially during the pandemic. So, but since April, actually, I've conducted 3, including this one. I'm not able to attract enough numbers to participate in the physical conference. Maybe there is still concern with regards to COVID-19. Maybe there are still restrictions for them actually to travel cross border. So maybe we still have to wait maybe next 2 months and so on before the normalcy come back. Okay, so I'm hoping to have more participation, especially in the physical face-to-face kind of conference. I think that is more interesting and more productive, where we can actually have going back and forth, you know, throwing the ball back and forth, sharing the ideas and knowledge and so on in a lively environment. Virtual is also okay, but you know, we can be hindered by some problem, like just now we have a network problem. Last time when I hosted participant from Nigeria, they also have problem, and then some participant from Qatar as well, also having a network problem at the time. And then participant from the Europe side, where the time different, we have our conference is at 2 p.m.
I know about this issue. Yeah, because me myself also always become the organizing committee. That's why I know about this.
So actually, I can see that they're having a challenge basically. They are very early in the morning actually, especially in the Europe when we have our conference at 2 p.m. Asian time. But that's the challenge we have actually. No problem. So I hope the normalcy come back, and then we can have the physical conference as normal like before. Okay. So with this, I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Shok Wai and also Dr. Shok Yan, for joining this virtual conference. This is to me I really appreciate, because you are able. I was worried actually none of you be able to join the virtual conference. Because
me and my sister, both of us, we prefer virtual. We actually more prefer the physical conference.
Yes.
And then after that, okay, we have the option for the video, or we're going to having the virtual conference, right? Prefer virtual conference more better, right? We can having the communication each other.
Exactly. So that's the purpose. But okay, all is not lost. We still good. We still have you in our conference anyway. So like I just explained earlier, moving forward, there will be publication of your paper in the proceeding, and also in our reference journal, there will be communication via email to you, and also to the other participant as well. It's normal. So just follow through the email. We will inform you from time to time the development of the progress of this of your paper in the publication side of it. Okay. Now your refund, my account will handle that one, and then we will do the refund within this month, but normally earlier than 1 month. You have provided I believe you have provided the account number and everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This
Then we will do that within less than 1 month from now. Okay. If you have no other question, then I will call this conference adjourn this conference, so that and then I hope that you'll be able to join us again in our future conferences. Okay, just email us the email that you have right now, ISSED. We will pick up from there if you have any need for you and your colleague or your student actually to present paper in the conference, and also to publish papers in the journal. Okay,
Sure.
thank you very much, Dr. Siok Wai. Thank you very much, Dr. Siok Yen. I wish you all the best in your future undertakings. Okay, we hope we become better and better researchers. Okay, that's what we are actually. Okay, we are in the
Yeah.
academic world. We are not only teaching, but I think more time is required for us actually to do research. And hopefully these researchers not ending at the so-called bookshelf, but that can be used or can be commercialized, so-called quote and unquote. Okay, that's the whole idea of us actually in the academic world. To do our research. That's why the government is providing grant and so on. They encourage research actually. Okay, thank you very much. I wish you all the best. Thank you for attending this virtual conference. I hope to see you again in the near future. Goodbye.
Okay, thanks again, Doctor.
Goodbye. Bye.
Okay, bye.